Little disclaimer for YouTube, I do have Tourette's, so please excuse any swearing throughout this video. Coming up in this week's episode, I can put words in your mouth here, Luke. You tell us. So I had to dispatch him this morning.
We had a mare, didn't we?
Well, I don't even know why you properly say it. I just know that's not right.
Which is hard. I battle with that.
Welcome back. My name's Jim.
I'm Luke.
And we are
Fields of Flux.
Boom. So we're going to get straight into it this week with harvesting the garlic. And something happens that we're going to talk about afterwards. Yeah, so it's more of a real insight into our lives, isn't it? Like an everyday moment caught on camera, so to speak. Yeah. Me and Lou are just clearing out the last year's garlic. We've actually still got quite a bit there, but some of it, lots of it is rotten now. There are still the odd good one, but a lot of these are ready for the compost pile. So we're just sorting that, ready and preparation for, drum roll please, the first harvest, or the first big harvest of the year. It's garlic pulling time, and we're going to head over to the beds after we've finished doing this and get started. So the main things we really wanted to tell you before we get into harvesting this garlic is you don't want to wash them, you want to keep the soil on it. That's a mistake we made last year.
Yep.
And you want to try not to damage it when you're pulling it up, so give it a bit of a wiggle before you pull, sort of thing.
You want to leave some roots on it, ideally. So you just shake as much dirt off as you can. You don't want to, it's not ripping the skin, isn't it? No. Otherwise you kind of, I suppose it's a bit like eggs really, isn't it? You then ruin the protective layer, which in turn lets bacteria in.
No, it's funny, a lot of that stuff has,
it's all
nature's
the same,
a wonderful thing, isn't it? Like, it really is. But yeah, we did have one of these the other night fresh. Look, they're a really nice size this year. These are all ones we planted. We only planted varieties that we'd grown last year, wasn't it? So we grew them last year and they were quite small. Yeah, we bought them in, planted them, and they've done much better this year. So either it's a better spot, better year, or
it's definitely a better year.
Because they've the second generation that's been grown here, or perhaps a combination of all things.
I think
but they're looking really good.
Yeah, I think it's both, because they do say that the more you grow something and you save your seeds and you save your cloves or whatever and you put them in, they adapt to the conditions, don't they? But it's been last year was awful weather-wise, and this year's been great so far.
I think that's it, isn't it? That's all we've got to say.
I think so.
If we think of anything while we're harvesting it that we think is worth sharing, we'll share it at the end before we go and dry them all out. But for now, pick them, get as much soil off with your hands as possible, and whack them in some sort of wheelbarrow. In amongst the garlic, I come across, look at it, it's not like it's more like an apple, man. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's absolutely, that is probably that's better than all the strawberries in a polytunnel, man.
I think some like garlic and that could make, certain stuff can make them taste better. Strawberry.
Yay. Oh, you're right. Can't keep me down long, so off a bit of medicine, straight back to it. That went really well. Some of the size and the beautiful looking garlic. Let me bring this closer to the camera.
Good size.
We've had a much better year than last year. Now, we've done a couple of things different, didn't we? What was it? We mulched.
We mulched it, which not only kept the weeds down, which when picking, I did notice the few that had weeds right next to them that had quite a big root system were considerably smaller.
Yeah, I noticed there was a couple of rogue potatoes that we've left in. Yeah. But again, on the garlic I pulled out was smaller.
So the mulch has helped to stop anything that can compete with the size. And also, the ones that were mulched, they pulled out the ground a lot easier.
Yeah, no, that was very true. They really...
The ones on the edge that were in like the compacted boundary, they were much harder to pull out. So I think mulching is all round is a help.
Definitely recommend it, yeah. It's been a win. We didn't do it last year, done it this year. They've come out better now. The conditions could have been better, but perhaps it was just the mulching because it was consistent along the beds. And we had some over on that bed as well. You couldn't quite see us in this shot collect. And they were consistently okay the whole way.
I think the mulch as well, as you know, a lot of you will probably know, it helps regulate the temperature more and keep the moisture in. So on the drier days and the colder days, it helps keep everything a bit more consistent, which I imagine is just overall better for growing. So
now we're going to do a competition, our first ever competition here on YouTube. And what we're going to do is we are going to give away a pot of jam, our last pot of jam of the season. All you're going to have to do is guess how many garlic we have harvested today. Now we are going to go and give you our tips about drying them while we're hanging them up and storing them. And so you'll get another look at them now, but leave a comment. Whoever is closest, even if you're 100 off, if you are closest, we will be in touch to grab an email and get you a jam sent. Boom!
Nice. Small bulbs, we are just laying on some wood. You need to ensure you've got airflow all around and ideally not have them touching. For the bigger bulbs, we picked about 50 of these off of Facebook Marketplace.
It was about 30 quid, I think.
30 quid, yeah. What we've done is we've just got 2 tiny battens, hung them from the rafters. So essentially what we can do, as you'll see here, is you can just thread the garlic through and we can have it all hanging up nicely. So that's what we're doing for the bigger bulbs, and the smaller bulbs are just being laid out on a bit of wood anywhere we have space, really.
If you're liking the video, hit a like, hit the subscribe and leave us a comment. We really appreciate it. You cheeky little cunt. So some friends of ours came round the other day and they saw my ticks unmedicated state. And I have put out a short, so go check that out if you want to see what the ticks...
Well, we had a mare, didn't we?
Yeah, well...
So, one day a week we cook for the whole family, and our friends were imminently arriving, and you were cooking a curry.
I've got... And how I can cook, yeah, because... my disabilities bring challenges when it comes to cooking. So what I tend to do is I will get everything ready. So it's all, you've got your spices ready, you've got your, the onions chopped in the food processor. So look, when I'm cooking, I'm putting it in a slow cooker, I can just assemble the ingredients and it's done. That's the sort of cooking that I'm able to manage. And now our daughter, she, just as I was about to throw it all together after I'd been prepping for a while, grabbed
it's a little bowl full of all the
spices and poured it all over herself, all over the kitchen.
All over her head, wasn't it? She stank of curry.
And now, I've mentioned this before, but Tourette's is highly influenced by emotion.
When our friends arrived, ultimately you weren't in a good way, were you, when they came?
And them seeing us not in a good way...
it was the first time, wasn't it?
It was the first time, and what we take for granted and for normal in our life, other people look on from the outside and perhaps it isn't normal, and perhaps we've got used to it.
Of course we have. It's our everyday life, isn't it? That is our norm now. It has been for what, seven years, and ultimately for us, you're much better than you were. So we've had worse days, and our days used to be worse every day. So for us, this is better, isn't it?
Way better, yeah.
But it's still not. We forget it's not normal for everybody, don't we? It's,
and I think that kind of, when we've caught fits and seizures on the camera before that we've perhaps not chose to put in. We've put some fits and falls in, but it's our everyday life, and so it's hard to do the vlogging without capturing these moments.
As much as we can tell you guys this is what happened, until you see it, you don't quite realise, and that's what they said, is that it's, they know it happens, but now they've seen it, they get a better understanding of...
And rather than making you go and watch the short, I'm just putting it up here now. because we live with it and it's normal for us.
Well, and it's not common. Like, I mean, even we thought, I certainly thought when you hit Tourette's, you think it's just the vocal side.
So, yeah, definitely.
I never realised until we saw specialists that the seizures and that actually come under Tourette's. I thought it was something totally separate.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not a lot known about it, and what is known is a very small part.
Yeah. Yes, and so I want to bring some awareness, but I don't want the channel to be around my Tourette's. You know, we are a smallholders. This is what the channel's about, but it is something we live with. And so yeah, let us know your thoughts on whether it's something we should include in the videos or exclude. Yeah, we don't know without trying it, do we? No. And we wanted, I think it shares our vulnerability and it helps put into perspective our journey a bit more. And
yeah,
you know.
Well, yeah, because it's not the same as every other smallholder, because we have to face different challenges, don't we? And well, it's different workarounds, isn't it? We just have to find different ways of doing things.
We've got a new section this week, guys. It's called In the Kitchen with Lou. We don't know if it's going to be a full-time feature. It's very stressful at the moment. This week wasn't too bad, was it? But in the previous times,
it can be a bit stressful.
With the kids, trying to film everything in the kitchen, which is the heart of our home, it's difficult. I can put words in your mouth here, Lou. You tell us, how did you feel about making it?
Well, it says some weeks it's fine, some weeks it's difficult, and I don't know, I'm a perfectionist, aren't I? So I just want everything to be done really well, and it's not. I understand now why these kitchen programs you have an island, because you're at a good angle for the camera, so it's trying to like navigate how. It's new, isn't it? So it's trying to navigate how to film things. Whereas these bits, you've kind of got a little bit of a routine of how we do things, so it's all right.
So you saw us there harvesting the garlic. Yes, you cheeky little cunt. Bloody was on. Yay! So you saw us there harvesting the garlic, and in this week's kitchen, in the kitchen with Lou, I need to get a few ingredients. So I'm not doing a huge harvest, but there are onions ready to eat, so I'm going to grab an onion and I'm going to grab a cabbage. So beautiful onion, beautiful cabbage, some close-ups for the camera. It's bigger than me head. You can't.
I'm just making a quick coleslaw for dinner. We have an onion from the garden and we have a cabbage from the garden. I do have a carrot, an organic carrot. However, it's unfortunately not our own, but will be soon. Coleslaw's a good one because you can kind of put anything in it. Always have cabbage, obviously. I always put a little bit of onion in it, but it can be any type of onion, whether it's red onion, white onion, even spring onion. So what I'm going to do first, I don't want the whole onion, probably, this is quite a large onion, so I'm only going to do probably about a third. Just slice it really, really, really thinly. Now, I've got a carrot in this today, but depending on what we have at the time of year, I'll sometimes put kohlrabi. Fennel is a really nice one. You could put grated radish in there. I'm going to peel the carrots today, but sometimes you could use, grated carrot. It's really just using what you've got at that time of year. So it's a good one because it's really quite versatile, and that way it keeps it a little bit different. Whenever you do it, it always tastes a little bit different, which I think is really nice. It's nice not to have it always tasting exactly the same. So just pop that straight in the bowl. Take off these outer cabbage leaves. You surprisingly don't need a huge amount of cabbage for coleslaw. It goes quite a long way. This is quite a small cabbage, and I'll probably get 2 to 3 lots out of this. Bearing in mind it's probably mainly me and Jim that will eat it. The kids won't have much. Theo might have a little bit, but again, the key for a nice coleslaw is just to chop everything as finely as you can. I did use a mandolin for a while, but it's one of those, sometimes it's actually just easier to chop, but use whatever you need. Grate it, you can grate everything really if you want to. Now the dressing is a really simple dressing. Again, it can be changed depending on what you've got in the cupboard. So what I've got in here is a tablespoon of honey. Now that can be honey, it can be maple syrup, it can be any sort of sweetener you prefer to use or what you've got to hand. There's some black pepper, a little bit of salt, a tablespoon of mustard. I prefer whole grain, but if I've got Dijon, I'll use Dijon. Again, whatever you prefer. 3/4 of a teaspoon of celery seed. I think they make it quite. They're not really flavourful, but they do make a difference and add a nice touch to it. And then the last thing I've got in there is 2 tablespoons of well, it should be apple cider vinegar. My mum, the last few years, she's made her own apple cider vinegar, which is surprisingly easy. When we have the influx of apples, she keeps all the peelings, freezes them in a bag, and you can make the apple cider vinegar just from the peelings. Once she'd done that a few times and it came out really nice, she actually tried using the peelings from pears and made a pear cider vinegar. And that's what I've got in here today. And I have to say, we use it in all sorts of cooking sauces and marinades, and it's really nice. Pear cider vinegar is really nice. It adds a bit of a different flavour. I don't really know how you describe it, but oh, it's lovely. So I've got pear cider vinegar, but use, apple cider vinegar, whatever you've got to hand. But definitely have a look at making your own apple cider vinegar, especially if you've got animals like chickens, because not only is it good for humans, it's great for cooking, it's great from a medicinal point of view, but it's fantastic medicinally for, well, we use it for the dogs actually. The dogs and the chickens and all the birds. It's a great one, especially through the winter, just to put a little bit in their water. It just helps build their immune system. We put some in the chicks when they're small and they're newborns, and it just helps keep their immune system strong. So yeah, that's definitely worth looking into because it's so easy, and it's essentially from scraps that you would otherwise put in the bin. And I'm just going to peel my carrot in there. To my dressing, in total I want 3/4 of a cup, equal parts, about 3/4 of a cup, half yogurt, half mayonnaise. You can adapt it again depending on how much you've got in the cupboard. Some days I haven't got much mayonnaise, so I put more yogurt in, and vice versa. I probably tend to err on the side of having a little bit more yogurt to mayonnaise, but that's just personal taste really. So then you're mixing the dressing with the yogurt, with the mayonnaise. Once you put this in, it's just a case of tasting and adapting. If you feel you want more mayo or yogurt, just add a bit more in and remix it together. I'm just going to pour about 3/4 of that on, just in case I've got a bit too much. And again, it depends. Some people like loads of sauce, some people just like a little. But what I like about this is it's constantly changing throughout the year depending on what you're growing, what you've got in the cupboard, and it really, I like things like that because it keeps them interesting and they're not always the same. They're always a little bit different. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit more in there. Sounds like Jim's having fun with the kids. Nice. Spot on. That cabbage is lovely. And there we have it. Simple and good for you. Nice and fresh for the summertime. There you go. Give it a try.
The Musings of Jim.
I've had a morning this morning, guys. Yes. I've gone out and my prize cockerel Barnaby, he's my oldest cockerel, he's about 4.5 years old, had been badly wounded within an inch of his life by one of the other cockerels. I've never had to deal with that before. My cockerels have, people say don't keep cockerels together, but my cockerels have always been fine. Now, I noticed yesterday Barnaby was showing a bit of signs of weakness. He was limping and I thought, oh, I don't like the look of that. And he was the top rooster, and one of the other roosters has started on him and they've all just attacked him. They've all turned on him, survival of the fittest. So I had to dispatch him this morning, and it never gets any easier. I don't like this part of smallholding. It's look, I chose this life and I want to do it, but doing the meat birds, doing a cockerel, it's never easy. Even if you're doing it for the right reasons, you know. He was suffering. I couldn't have left him there all day. Don't have the money for a vet. And he won't be wasted. You know, I'll clean him up, I'll defeather him. I won't gut him. I'll just cut, so I'll leave the carcass whole, and I won't use the carcass, but I'll cut the breasts off, I'll cut the legs off, I'll cut the wings off, and give them to the cats and the dogs. And so I know his life wasn't in vain, you know, and he lived a good life. Yeesh! But having to do that first thing in the morning is not a good way to start the day. And yeah, funnily enough, the Musings of Jim this week was going to be about how I live with Tourette's, and I was going to film it this morning, hence the camera being set up. And yeah, an unexpected, unkind, unnice event that's happened, but it's the realities. We we said we were going to film our life and the realities of smallholding, and this is it. You have to dispatch your birds if they're suffering. You have to make these calls on your animal. You're responsible for them, and it's hard. Cat's coming in for some lunch. Staring at the cockerel. You leave it alone. Yeah, he's going. Well, you can have him when I've cleaned him up. Yes. Whew. End of an era. Barnaby. King Cock. Yeah, I don't really know. Hey, for once in my life, guys, I'm lost for words. This is real life. This is smallholding life. This is the life we chose, and I can't be upset, angry, sorry for myself. I can't be like, these are natural emotions. I've just had to take a life, but I know that it was for the right reasons. I know that he's lived a good life, and I know that the sustenance that he provides will provide for my dogs and my cats. But it's just not what it's the unexpected nature of it all, you know. Yes, you cheeky little cunt. Murderer! You go down expecting to do the normal morning tasks, and you quite often find disasters. A fox will have visited, a polecat will have visited. You've got a sick chick. And the truth of the matter is, like, there ain't that much you can do for sick chicks in the sort of environment we've got them in. when you've got pets and they're your pets and you've got like money to look after your pets, and it's not that we don't have money to look after them, because obviously we get them food and we give them a nice life, but money's tight on the small holding. Like, you know, that's the reality of it. We're not making loads of money. We're hopefully going to have more ventures in the future that will allow us more incomes. You know, next year I think I'm going to try and sell some garlic, because we've been growing it fantastically here, and it seems silly to not like do a try. You know, we got flowers that we're going to start selling, and so, you know, hopefully that situation will improve. Not that it matters, not that me and Lou care about those sort of things, but it does impact our ability to have a lame cockerel. You know, I can't have a lame cockerel. I could put him on his own in a pen and see if it got better, but from my experience it never does. Not when they're 4.5 years old. And so that was the you know, your lack of options. And like I said, guys, I'm sorry, it's probably not the best Musings of Jim. It's a real one, you know, but I don't have loads to say. It's not I didn't, like, you know, I sometimes ponder on the topic and have some points I want to make. This is just the real life small holding dilemmas that we face.
Yeah, that was a tough one, wasn't it, Jim?
Yeah, it was. I know it's the way of life here, as I said in the vlog, in the Musings of Jim, but it don't get any easier. It's yeah, it's a tough one.
This week we finally got the Sweetcorn out. This week, finally. You put half in the old poly, wasn't it?
What's that?
The Sweetcorn.
What?
The Sweetcorn.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Sweetcorn.
Oh, okay. Hey!
You not realised?
No, I was busy. I wasn't listening to it. I forgot we're filming a bit. What?
So we put half the Sweetcorn in the old poly.
Yes, yeah.
And the other half my dad put outside, just outside where the 2 greenhouses are.
We also had to take down a beautiful Montana, as well as your beetroot, and that's doing really well, isn't it, Lou?
Well, he's just started sprouting. I've put some, I think they're called golden, I don't know if they're golden burpees. They're a golden beetroot. I've not grown them before. So I've put them, kohlrabi, which I'm again really late getting out. I could have put that out ages ago, and some radishes. There's a little space in the bed outside. They've just started to pop through. Some of them are seeds from last year, so I'm not sure they're all going to sprout. I might need to redo them, but my plan is to do a little bit of like succession planting. I need to now replant some more to try and keep a little wave coming through. But yeah, everyone's got, each one of them's got a few sprouts on, which is nice.
So we're in here, we've got corn. We did mention before that it done terrible outside last year, so we are going to try and grow it in the polytunnel. It means we're going to have to hand fertilise it.
Hand pollinate it?
Hand pollinate it. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit late going out. We've had to wait until some of the cabbages are done to make space. So this has been in the pot way longer than we would normally have liked to. So I'm hoping it's not going to have
damaged
it in any way. But we'll see how it goes.
We were waiting for the space. We didn't think that the cabbages were ready, but actually they were, weren't they?
Yeah.
So we could have. We're learning as we go, guys, so hopefully next year we'll know to pull the cabbages a bit early. We'll be able to get the sweet corn in earlier.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Great. We're having to cut back this clematis, unfortunately. It's just died. We don't really know what happened, but it's not completely dead. There are some leaves on it, but it was beautiful last year. I'll see if I can get a picture. But yeah, so having to get rid of it, but we're gonna put a really lovely wisteria in. Now, as I'm cleaning the clematis, I can see all these wild strawberries have done really well this year. It's lovely just having them in amongst the plants, though. Lou's just sweeping up, but it looks really weird without it. I was just filming, saying it looks really weird now finished, you're just sweeping up. And we've got a real nice treat for you. Remember last week we done the veg tour? Well, this week we got the fruit chore, so enjoy that.
So last week we gave you a quick fire round of what vegetables we have and how they are doing. This week we're doing the fruits, beginning with our apples within the new orchard. However, this year they don't seem to be doing great. We think we had a bit of a late frost.
There's a few exceptions in the new orchard, like this tree here is fruiting quite well.
As well as the apple trees, we have a plum here. We also have a pear and a damson.
And finally, in the new orchard, we have more apples, a pear, that's a Japanese pear in the corner there. But this side, we must be honest, this side has not performed as well as the trees up the top side. Now, there's two trains of thoughts for us here. One is the birds tend to stay up there. So bird muck is a fantastic feed for trees. And so are those growing because they're getting more nutrients, or is this area, because it's downhill, more wet, and so these ones haven't? But you can see for yourselves, they're not quite as strong or as nice as the trees at the top of the new orchard. Now, we planted all of these at the same time, you see, so we are able to see the differences.
The only fruit we have in the new polytunnel here are the strawberries. Now, we've had a really, really good season this year, but they are beginning to come to the end.
Now, we also planted this apple tree. Last year, it was a 3-year-old tree that we got from a local garden centre, but it is fruiting absolutely fantastically, and I cannot wait to sink me little gnashers into it. Blah!
So here in the old orchard, we weren't expecting much from it this year. We have taken a few measures to hopefully improve it. We've done a lot of pruning to remove canker. We planted garlic last year around all the bottoms of the trees, which we left in to deter aphids. This particular tree isn't doing so well. This is an apple. However, that's a damson. That's a damson. But all the other damsons and apples, touch wood, they look quite good this year compared to last.
And when it comes to fruit, this is the pièce de la résistance. This is...
Well, I don't even know why you properly say it. I just know that's not right.
Okay, let's keep it in. And yeah, the fruit cage, soft fruits, all our soft fruits. Blueberries,
Red currants,
raspberry,
bayberry.
this here is a jostaberry, and oh my gosh, it smells so good. Blackcurrants, and they are having a great year. There's
Other soft fruits.
available. And finally, the peach tree. You'll remember, some of you will remember, that when I last inspected the peach tree, I found these infected leaves on it. So we have been researching, and today we are going to trim it back a bit, get some more airflow in, and try and take off even more of the infected leaves to try and keep it as healthy as possible. We don't want it getting infected and damaged. And the most important thing I will say about this is make sure, if you're ever doing this sort of pruning, emergency pruning, make sure you're using isopropyl alcohol. Is that right, Lou?
Isopropyl.
Isopropyl alcohol to sterilise any tools you're using, because you don't want to be cutting something over here and then spreading it to a part of the leaf that isn't infected. So we've got a bit to do to try and keep this so we don't lose the fruit and it doesn't get even worse. But the fruit is looking amazing. So Lou's just rubbing the alcohol on here. She's just put a little bit onto a kitchen towel and she's just sterilising.
What I'm doing here is this whole top section, these branches that have come out, they don't have any fruit on. So just to help us improve airflow, I'm taking these completely off.
So after you've trimmed it, guys, what you want to do is you want to be taking all the infected leaves off. This section here has got loads, so I'm going to be really stripping this back. And it looks brutal, but peaches are vigorous growers, so they will be able to handle this. Okay, so we're done. We've took off all the infected leaves that we could see, and we've left on all the fruit. It's still doing really well. We are hopeful for a good harvest. They are vigorous growers, so they can take a bit of damage.
So a part of this week's animal update is we have the new chicks arriving, the next lot of 40 meat birds.
So we have had the arrival of another set of meat birds. There's 40 here. Well, I've not counted them yet. I will be counting them soon. And yeah, another batch. And this is our last batch of the year. And Lou also adds a super to the bees.
Morning, morning girls, I'm going to put the super onto the bees in the beehive. So they're looking nice and busy this morning. First thing I'm going to do is what's best to do first. So I need these. I need the crown board off first. So I'm just going to lift the crown board first. It shouldn't be too bad because we only inspected them the other day. I'm going to take the feeders off today. Go. Ooh. Busy bees. Right, girls, super goes on. Give you guys a little bit more space. Then we simply start popping the frames in. Give them a little bit more space. Leave that one in, and I'm actually going to block up the other hole because I'm not worried about feeding them just at this moment in time. And all these do is they just stop the bees being able to come up into the top roofing area, because otherwise they'd build comb all up here and it'd all become a bit messy. You do have a little hole with a tiny gap at each side which just allows them, if any bees do get in or out, they've got a way of getting in or out essentially. And there we have it. I'm also going to take the other feeder while I'm here out the other hive and just block up that one as well, because it won't be too long, I don't think, before this one will need some more supers adding, so I need to get on that. So we're just doing a little bit of updates to the flower garden. I realised my eryngium and my echinops at the end here, I mulched everything with grass, which is doing a really good job. However, the eryngium's just kind of gone brown and looks like it's rapidly dying. And then the echinops, it did grow, but then the new leaves that are coming through now, they all look a bit deformed. And when I was doing a bit of research, they like poor soil. And I fed them bloody nettle and seaweed fertiliser. So I think you said some of it looked like a nutrient burn.
Nutrient burn. When I've nutrient burnt plants before, they kind of went that deformed kind of thing.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I probably over fertilised them. So, and the grass, they don't like, you know, heavy mulch, and they don't like, well, nutrients really. So I'm just scraping the grass away into where I'm going to keep the paths down the middle. And then I'm going to give them a water. Now, on the one hand, they don't like being too watered. They're very drought tolerant plants. So it's giving them kind of enough water to start washing away and diluting the fertiliser, but also not too much that the roots end up rotting. So that's going to be a bit of a, take them a little bit of care. I think the echinops will probably bounce back. I'm not sure about my eryngium. It looks, I don't know. It don't look very good. I'm
just going to go check the bread.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn my alarm off. But other than that, we've got the sedums here. The sedums are growing really nicely. These, I mean, all of these, I might have said before, they're all perennial, so I'm not too bothered if I don't get much off them this year. But next year I'm hoping they'll really bounce back, they'll keep multiplying, and then in the next few years to come I'll really start to get some flowers. But yeah, the sedums, they're very happy. They don't seem to be bothered by the grass mulch at all. Down this bit we have Shasta daisies. Now these again, these have grown really well. These were all cuttings from a big chunk we've got down there. You can declump them every 2 to 3 years. So again, whilst I have put 5 or 6 plants in, I'm hoping in 3 years' time I can start splitting them up and get even more. But they're growing really well. I need to just trim the tops off some of these to encourage side branching. The Achillea, I think it was flower burst fruit bowl, all these ones. They are growing well, but the ones towards the front, they are starting to be demolished by slugs. This happened last year to a point where there's no leaf growth and they will just die. But I've been sprinkling down, and I've just put a new lot yesterday of the organic slug pellets. And I think it's just a case of coming out and picking off the slugs, because one of them was absolutely covered when we came out at dusk. It was just smothered in them, so I can see how they can be munched so quickly. However, in front of them, just here, I've got Achillea, I think it's called Potomaca ballerina. So it's another type of Achillea, but the slugs don't seem bothered by that at all. They're starting to grow really nicely. I've already pinched those out. And my gooseneck loose strife at the front, again, that is growing really nicely. The slugs don't seem too fussed on those either. My cosmos down the side here, some of them are looking good, but then others, they're really prematurely flowering. I don't know if it's because I've got them out a bit late, potentially, which is hard. I battle with that because we've got such a slug problem, and because of last year, I think I've held on planting things out till they get a bigger size, but then in doing so, the plants are, I suppose, they've not got enough space to grow, so they shoot themselves into flowering prematurely. So a few of them look good, but a few of them, they're already flowering, and they are annuals though, so I might just have to pinch those out and see how they go. But there's a few, and you do get quite a lot off one plant, so I should definitely get some cosmos this year. My next plan, you'll see this I've got a section of weed matting here and where my tulips were. This whole section, I've got some grasses I want to plant that I've got ready to come in, and I have just got a few other bits and bobs that I could probably put in. Again, it's the slugs. I've got loads of bee balm, but I'm hesitant because they're such pretty plants, but the slugs love them, so I don't know what to do. I'm just trying to sort of think of a way. It's the overwintering, when those new shoots come back in, I don't want the slugs just to completely demolish them, so I'm going to have a bit more of a think before I put those out. They are still quite small, they could bulk out a bit, so yeah, they'll probably be, you'll have an update in a few weeks' time on that one, probably.
I forgot to put the bread in.
You didn't put it in?
No.
Oh, you muppet.
I've gone back in to click, I've put it in the oven. I've not noticed it on the side. But where the fuck is it? It's not in the oven. And I've looked up and looked on the side, and it's there on the side.
Oh, so you put it in now?
I've put it in now, so we've got half an hour.
Has it collapsed?
No, it hadn't.
Oh,
it hadn't.
Good. Oh, you muppet.
Oh no, I can believe that. Well, so I think the only thing I wanted to add to the flower garden is, I'll be honest, and I have said this to Lou, I thought we were going to be a lot further ahead in the flower garden than it is. I don't think we're going to be making much money from flowers this year. Like truly.
No, but then it's one of those things. That's why, on the one hand, that's why I did perennials, because I knew, you know,
hopefully next year they'll
be bigger and better and earlier, and they'll be able to get even bigger and have a really good year. We need to get the hydrangeas in. We're going to put those in the banks because that's north facing, and hydrangeas do like a north facing area. The banks just get covered, don't they, in weeds, and they're a bit hard to maintain. So we thought if we can, it'll be a slow burner, but over the years get some nice a big row of hydrangeas in, then it will not only look lovely, but you've got a big showy plant in a part of the garden that generally you can't grow much. But it all just takes time, doesn't it?
My thing isn't that we're doing badly. I think we're doing very well. But it's when you have these envisions in your head, like we give ourselves 5 years to get self-sufficient on food. We give ourselves 3 years to set up the flower garden. We're coming into year 3, and I mean, setting it up. If our aim was 3 years to set it up, we're doing well. If our aim was to
Yeah.
make money in those 3 years, we'll probably miss the mark this year.
And see, this bed, we covered this. This needs to be covered over winter, but this will be in use next year. We could start covering other bits potentially for over winter for next year.
This season, in the coming months, you'll probably see it, but we are going to get a digger and we are going to flatten some of the land so that we can better put beds on it for next year, aren't we? So that next year we've hopefully got a perennial bed. Plus, we're going to do some nice little testers with some wildflowers, ain't we?
Yes, yeah.
And but other than that, I think that wraps it up for this week, doesn't it? And we hope you've enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.